Yeah, we are live. How's it going, everybody? Our viewers, our pianists. Today is Friday, the 21st of April. Thanks so much for joining us. We have two pianists with us today who are going to perform. So I'm going to hand the mic over to our first pianist. Her name is Sahana. So, Sahana, when you have a moment, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, your piece of music, and the composer?
My name's Sahan and I'll be playing Flowers by Miley Cyrus. The first page.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nicely done, Sahana. How was that?
Good.
Yeah. Do you feel that what you've been practicing turned up today in performance seminar?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I thought you did a really good job getting the rhythm down. There's a lot of counting going on, especially because the third beat comes on the and. All right. Um, take a little bit. I would play it just a little bit slower so that when you get to these 16th notes, you don't need to feel like you're rushing them. Right? Did you feel that you were rushing these 16th notes to try and get them in time? Yeah. Listen back to the recording, put a metronome on, and then you'll get a feel for the speed that you're actually playing these 16th notes. But yeah, you want to play it maybe at a slower speed for now, so that when you get to the 16th notes, they're played in time. Yeah. But let's jump over to Bronson. Bronson, did you have any thoughts on Sahana's performance?
No, it was good.
Yeah, it was pretty good, right? Nice. Oh, and welcome Neil. How's it going? Neil's in the building. All right, Sahana. So, have you got a goal for when you'll learn the next page?
Yeah.
Yeah. When are you hoping to get the next page learned?
I don't know.
All right. Maybe by tomorrow? You're like, maybe. Try it. Try it. I think the big thing, though, especially with pop music, is that you need to have a very clear sense of pulse, right? So don't try and play it the way that's sung. Play exactly what's written on the page. And then once you get that, then you can go back and try playing it roughly how it's sung. All right. Does that make sense? Yeah, because a lot of people, when they play pop music, right, they just play what they heard on YouTube and they don't actually follow the notes. So you're doing a pretty good job following the notes, but continue doing that and work with the metronome as well. All right. Cool. Thank you, Sahana. All right. On we go, Mr. Bronson. Why don't you go ahead, turn on your camera, introduce yourself and your piece of music?
My
Cool,
name is
Bronson.
Bronson, and I'll be playing Prelude in Prelude in B minor.
Nice. Who wrote it?
Morosky.
Rovsky. Nice. Actually, Bronson, can you do me a favor? We're just going to do this one more time. Sorry. Can you click on original sound?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try that.
There we go.
Nicely done, Bronson. All right, how did you feel that went?
Good.
Yeah? What about it was good? Explain to me some of the
Just
ideas.
like the tempo and the dynamic.
Okay, cool. So tempo and dynamics are ingredients that we use to play the music, right? But essentially, music is also a character. It's a feeling. So when you play this piece or when you hear it, does it remind you of anything? Is it creating what kind of mood does it create in the room? This music.
Like, um, I'm not sure.
All right, that's all right. Let's go around. Let's ask some of our friends over here. Let's go to Neil. Hi, Neil. So when you hear this piece, does it remind you of anything, or what kind of a mood or character does it create for you?
It's probably like a rainy day kind of piece, in my opinion.
Mm, rainy day. I like that. What about it makes it sound like a rainy day?
I mean, it's just that very like somber mood, very somber and serious mood.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that gloomy day kind of vibe, in my opinion.
yeah.
That's the thing that popped in my head.
That's cool. All right, we'll keep on going forward. Thanks for that. And what about you, Sahana? What does this piece remind you of?
Um,
Now, what kind of mood or character do you feel this piece creates?
lonely.
What was that? Sorry.
Lonely
Ooh, lonely. And what about it makes it sound lonely?
because of the way all the sharps create the.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Is it in a major key or a minor key?
I think minor.
Minor key, right? Yeah. Cool. So now we go back to you, Bronson. What are your ideas in terms of a character or a mood this piece represents?
Like dark or like nighttime.
Ooh, yeah. So you see what I'm saying? If you have this, like a picture in your mind of what you feel the piece creates, then you use elements or ingredients such as dynamics or tempo or tone to get you to that level, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So when you ask yourself, "Oh, my dynamics and my tempo were good," like good, but did they serve the purpose? Like, what is the purpose of those
Okay.
dynamics? It's to create, or what's the purpose of this curved line? You could say I played it smooth, but actually by playing it smoothly, I was able to make the music sound even more sad. Or by using the pedal, I was able to make it sound more reflective, you know? So, and this is something if you guys aren't already doing it, so Hannah and Neil, do your best to connect the music to some kind of story, and then you use all these elements to help bring it to life. So, well done. It's really good. From my end, I would play around more with varying your dynamics. All
Okay.
right. And then as it grows from the B to the A sharp, da, da, dum, dum, maybe give a slight crescendo. Yeah. Or maybe just a little bit more intense with the right hand line. I felt the overall tone was very much the same throughout, but I would have liked to hear some more like growth and decline in the music. All right. But go ahead and listen back to it yourself. And then you can decide. You'll figure out straight away, oh, okay, these are the areas that I need to adjust because then it makes the music move and it brings it to life. Yeah.
Okay.
But you already got a really great version. It's just I'd love to hear a little bit more variation on your sound. Okay. So well done. All right. And we now welcome Mr. Neil. All right, sir, go ahead. Take it away. Introduce yourself in this fancy looking piece of music with all these squiggly lines.
Yeah. Today I'll be playing the Scarlatti Sonata in E major.
Nice. Hey, do me a favor before you begin. Can you just play a couple of notes to make sure your original sound is on? We're in business. It's all yours.
So,
Oh, it's just the trailer, is it? I
Yeah.
was waiting for the next page. Just a taste. Nicely done. Congratulations. Such a fingery piece, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of celebration. Like I love this kind of music. It's so bright. It's light. And then when you hear this, where is it? Dun 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 dee, dum. Where did that part go? There we go. All right. When you hear these open fifths, dum bum 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 bum, what does it remind you of?
Marching band.
Right. You know, another thing I hear, like a royal processional.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the king and the queen are arriving. Like, oh, stand up. Dum, bum, 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 bum. All hail King Caesar, or something, right? So, this is what I'm talking about. When we play a piece of music, we can just use our imagination. We can imagine what the music might represent. You know, what kind of story it's trying to tell. Like even in the opening. I mean, tell us about your thoughts. What kind of what's going on in this piece? What kind of mood is it creating?
It's a very like playful and light mood. It's not like very somber. It's very happy, very bright, as you said. And
Hmm.
I think the image that strikes me most is like that of a marching band,
Hmm.
especially with the second page. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's it. When you play, you want to have those light figures, and I think you're doing that really well, right from the opening. I think as you become more familiar with the rhythm and the different hand positions, the piece will grow, and you'll be able to do a lot more with it. I think you're on the right track. It's just a matter of spending some more time, just to really familiarize yourself with working with the sharps. It's working with the sharps, right, and also the white keys at the same time. It can be a little bit awkward. Take your time, especially with these here in the bass. You're doing 2 and 1. Diddle-dum, diddle-dum. Yeah, 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 yeah. So keep the bass, keep the pinky light, and focus more on the top part of the hand, so that you can bring that out. When you have these little melodies, listen back to this recording and ask yourself, is it interesting what I'm doing? Like, am I creating a shape with it, or am I playing it like a straight scale? And
Okay.
second, where's it headed, right? Sometimes you're going to play a scale just for the sake of playing a scale, but with music is like it's sentences. Like the sentence is going to this sentence, the sentence is going to this sentence, right, to make a phrase. So when you hear this, really listen to see how the energy from your right hand connects into the left hand, and then you'll get this beautiful line, like a dance, a gentle dance going from the right to the left to the right, and that builds us to this. Left, right, then da-da-dum, da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba. And even though this would have been played on a harpsichord that doesn't have dynamics, what they would have done, they would have held the keys down longer, and that because then now that there's a buildup of sound, and that's what created these different layers. So right, they didn't have the hammer which hit the string, and the harder you hit it, the louder it's going to be. So you can play around with that, play without pedal, but as it progresses in the left hand, hold the notes down longer and longer and longer, like the duration, right? Because currently you're just playing them detached. So play around with these ideas. This part was all fine.
So it was originally meant for the harpsichord.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So this would
I
have been
didn't see
written.
like piano or forte or mezzo forte, so I was like confused, but that makes more sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So you notice there are some editions that will add the dynamics in there, but because this piece was written 300 odd years ago,
Yeah.
it was definitely written for the harpsichord. So Bronson and Sahana, in case you don't know, a harpsichord is the instrument that came well before the piano. And if you look inside a piano, it's got hammers, right? And when you press the key down, depending on how quickly you press the key, if you press it quickly, the hammer will strike the string very quickly and it makes a loud sound. If you press it down slowly, hammer strikes slowly and it makes a quiet sound. They didn't have that back then. They had this pluck, and it would just pluck the strings like a guitar. No matter how hard you press down the key, it would always pluck the same volume. So in order to make sounds louder, they would have to hold down more keys, because more strings that have been plucked is going to make a louder sound. And so there's often this debate whether we should use pedal when we play music of the Baroque period. I'm for both sides. I like to experiment without the pedal and with the pedal. If I'm going to use pedal, I'm using it to enhance the sound, to create a color. not necessarily to create these long legato lines making it sound reflective. Like, nah, they didn't really have that back then. So play around with both there, Neil, when you get a moment. Listen as well to the harmonies.
Yeah.
See how the A sharp there is leading to the B,
Yeah.
and now we finally arrive in the tonic, right, to the E. So, I mean, there's plenty to be done with the piece, but I think at this point, just continue working to familiarize yourself a little bit more with the notes. Be light fingered, right? Yeah. And then when you have these runs, like, you know, create like a little pulse heading up toward the A. Let's head around here, these guys. Bronson, did you have any thoughts on Neil's performance? Things that you felt that he did well, and maybe some ideas he might want to focus on for next time, if you have any?
No, it was pretty good.
It's pretty good, right? Is this a kind of piece that you might like to play?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, right? It's very different, huh? Very different from a lot of music that you're currently playing. All right, cool. Sahana, how about you? What are your thoughts on Neil's performance and this piece?
Nothing. I don't really have any that mind.
That's okay. Well, let me ask you what it reminds you of. Does it
Huh?
remind you, if you, the same question that I had for Bronson, right? The Bronson's piece. What does it remind you of? Does it remind you of any particular kind of character or person or weather? What comes to mind?
It reminds me of a warm, sunny day.
A warm, sunny day. Pretty sweet, right, Neil? Yeah. And then when this part comes, dun 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 dee, dum, 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 what happens there, Sahana?
Clouds block
Cloud. What was that? Sorry.
Clouds block the sun.
Clouds block the sun. So this is the interesting thing, right? Like, there's no one person will have the same idea or thought about music. And how neat is it, right? This has no lyrics and no title. It's just called K.380. Doesn't mean anything. It's a catalog number. Yet, through the music, we have visuals in our head, you know? That's why we keep coming back and playing. This is so good. So, yeah. I think the last thing I suggest to you, Neil, is as you practice, keep in mind what kind of visual you want to create for yourself. Then when you share it with your family and friends, see if they match what you had in mind. That's quite, doesn't always happen, but when it does, like, whoa, you too see the sun coming out and this part here gets cloudy. Like, that's amazing. All right, guys. So as you can see, the theme for today is character. All right. So when you guys are practicing, continue practicing slowly. Be sure about what you're doing. Understand the elements you're working with, dynamics, articulation, tempo, all of that stuff. But it doesn't really matter unless you have a mood or a character or some kind of story that you're trying to tell. Otherwise, it's just random facts, right? They don't quite connect. So continue looking for connection. Watch this video back, listen to yourselves perform, and then continue making tweaks. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys again at the next performance seminar. All right. So thank you very much, Sahana, Bronson, Neil.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, right? Take care, everybody. Thanks for your time. Bye. Thanks, Sahana. See you later on.